Hi, this is Timothy Zahn, author of Thrawn, and you're listening to Star Wars Reactions. Good for you.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
In 1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All of it.
One of resistance,
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
rebellion,
Rebellion is built on hope.
and redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Star Wars Reactions. We are back, and we are covering this week the Bad Batch episode 5, Entombed, and we are going to have so much fun because joining me this week to try to fill David's size 15 shoes is a Renaissance woman in Star Wars. And really, there's nothing else I can really say about that. She has done it all. She's been a blogger. She's a contributor to FanthaTracks. She's worked with artist Steve Anderson. She hosts not one but two Star Wars podcasts in Kanata's Castle and Tarkin's Top Shelf. I mean, she's just an incredible woman, awesome person. Please welcome for her first time on Star Wars Reaction, my friend, Becca Benjamin. Becca, how you doing?
I'm well, and wow, I think you should just close out the show now because I'll never live up to that. Welcome. So, wow, thank you very much. You totally just, you embellished a lot, but but I appreciate it on my end. Thank you very much for having me. This is going to be great.
Well, it's a blast. It's been a long time since we've had a chance to talk, and this is just a perfect timing to get you in and talk. And everything I listed, you have done and you do. And I mean, there's nobody else I know that does as much in fandom as you do, because you've covered it all. Essentially.
Oh wow! So. Yeah, I mean, I've been around for a while, so I guess Renaissance probably does, stand true to that. But when you get to be, as old as I am, oh my goodness! Oh, this is fun. I'm looking forward to it. Aaron, thank you for having me on. It's been too long since we've chatted, because I think the last time we chatted was back when we were discussing, I think, Rebels.
Yeah, it was back when I was hosting Rebels Reactions was the last time we actually were able to connect and talk, and we always had great times talking Rebels, and I know we'll have a great time talking Bad Batch too. So it's just it's destiny.
It is, absolutely. The stars have aligned.
Yes, the circle is complete.
Yes, there it is.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and jump into it. We're talking the 5th episode of season 2 of The Bad Batch. This episode was entitled Entombed. It was released on the 25th of January, 2023, written by Christopher Yost and directed by Nathaniel Villanueva. I always like saying his name. Brings out the Spanish side of me. Villanueva.
It's a very fun name.
It's a very fun name. Nathaniel Villanueva. You can do it with accents. Villanueva. Oh, wow. I'm in that kind of mood. I haven't slept much this week, y'all. So you're going in for a treat tonight.
Oh, the warning's been out there now. Okay. Well, that's good.
Warning's out. The Carabas moments are coming. Beware. Oh, so in this episode, just a brief synopsis of what we're talking about here. In Entombed, the crew, Omega and Wrecker, find an ancient compass on a salvage run. And because of this, Clone Force 99 join Phee Genoa on a treasure hunt, in which, in typical Bad Batch fashion, turns into a fight for survival as they wake an ancient super ultimate battle droid. So let's jump right into our initial reactions. Becca, you're our guest. I'll let you go first. What were your initial reactions when you first saw Entombed?
Okay, so I'm going to just say it's probably one of my favorite episodes we've gotten in animation. Just visually, it's gorgeous. But I will say this, I got such Disney Atlantis vibes throughout the whole thing. And I love that that Disney movie. I don't think it gets enough love. So to see that, and then you get a bit of Indiana Jones, especially in the background with the Kiner brothers. I mean, you could hear little hints of it. Yeah, it was just basically Star Wars meets Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider, and Disney's Atlantis, and it was just visually stunning and kept you on the edge of your seat. I loved it. I thought it was top notch. Absolutely.
Excellent. Excellent. You know, and I have a confession. I have not seen Atlantis.
Oh, you must. I
have not seen Atlantis. I will have to pull it up on Disney Plus this weekend and watch it, and I'll let you know what I thought. But yeah, I have not seen it. So now I really want to. If it made you feel that way, I need to go see it. So
yeah.
For me, I loved the episode too. It was fun. It was enjoyable. The Kevin Kiner and his music again just had me hooked. And with the little hints of the Indiana Jones music in there too, it had that feel to it, with the treasure hunt and then Hunter nearly going through the floor like Indy did. I mean, all Hunter needed was a fedora and a whip, and we'd have had Star Wars: The Indiana Jones Story.
Now that would make a wonderful cosplay,
wouldn't it? Though.
Yeah, just put the hat over the helmet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just attach the hat to the helmet, and then just instead of the knife in his cuff, just make it a whip that shoots out.
Yep. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that would be great. I expect to see that sometime this year at a con. So y'all get to work. Y'all get to work because that ain't my skill.
Not mine either. I do enjoy it though, but it's not mine either.
Oh, absolutely. It was a lot of fun. I loved it. Again, like in the last episode, there weren't any Imperial entanglements, but unlike the last episode where it kind of was like, okay, no, where are the Imperials? This one, I was like, I had so much fun. I did not care. I didn't see a stormtrooper. It was just so much fun. There was so much energy and so much mystery, and like you said, Becca, it was so cinematically stunning to watch. It was well worth the wait for this week. I loved it.
Well, that's just it. The animation is unbelievable at this point. Like when you look at just the landscapes, with the water in the very first episode on the beach, and now you see in this episode with the flames and the explosions, that looks like live action. It doesn't look like that was animated. It's just amazing to me how far they've come to create this now. And it's just absolutely stunning. Like I said, there's times where you're like, wait a minute, this is animated? It's just unreal. The talent is just unbelievable to me.
It truly is. It's very interesting to see how it's progressed. I just actually finished a Rebels rewatch and was starting a Clone Wars rewatch, and you look at the first season of Clone Wars and then compare it to what we got today or in this episode. Just the difference in the colors, in the schemes, everything is just more vibrant. And that first season of Clone Wars felt more like an animated cartoon, where this is more like an animated masterpiece.
It looks very tangible. That's just it. Yeah. No, I mean, just in going back to it, I know you said there was no Imperial stuff going on, but my whole thing is we knew that to me, it was a given going in when they said, we don't have a mission. They wanted to go get some treasure. They're still trying to find their way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this to me made sense. And of course, everything is dangerous, like right now, no matter where you go. And what I loved about this is, though it was, like you said, like a treasure hunt, there are little Easter eggs here that do connect to bigger things. So, people tossing around, and I hate this phrase, the whole filler thing.
Oh my God.
Nothing is filler.
Yes.
It could be the smallest thing in an episode, but it's going to connect to bigger things because it always does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so.
Oh,
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I've said that back when we did Rebels. There's no such thing as filler in Star Wars. Filler episodes do not exist in Star Wars, because whether it's in the next episode, the next 20 episodes, or 10 years down the road, it's going to tie back in a way you'll never picture.
Right. There's a method to their madness. I've always said that. And, you know, Jennifer Corbett and is it Brad Rao?
Brad Rao.
Yeah, they have it all mapped out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They know what they're doing. And yeah, you know, people shouldn't say that because, you know, let's just say it. I'm just going to say it. Andor was a slow burn, right? It took a long time to get where they were going at the end of season 1. And it was a lot, you know, and there were long episodes. So keep that in mind, though. Everything made sense when you got to where you were going at the end. And I agree with everything that they do. All these series, they all tie into something. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't judge it. Like I said, I know it's going somewhere.
Yeah, I know. It always bothers me when I hear that filler line.
Mm-hmm.
It's just another filler episode. I just want to reach through the social media and slap somebody. When I hear that, I'm like, no, it's not. Because y'all said the same thing about the Purrgil, and look what happened.
Yes,
and look what happened.
Very much.
Yes, I mean, come on now. Come on. Ain't going to be that way. No fillers here.
Nope.
No fillers here. Unless you're filling up my cup with some tea, no fillers here. All right. But yeah, great episode. Let's take a look here. Let's talk about the character Phee Genoa for a little bit. Of course, this is a new character that was introduced this season, actually in the first episode of season 2, and we saw her again today in this episode. Very interesting character. We got to see a lot more of her in this episode, so we got to see a little bit more of her growth, a little more character build in this for her. Learned a little bit more of her background as a treasure hunter and all these things. She is telling stories of her adventures. And I got to ask you, because it struck me when I watched this episode, it almost felt like they were trying to create another Hondo.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what Hondo does.
But she has a lot more sass.
Yes.
I love Wanda Sykes. This is like phenomenal to see Phee in all her glory. And I love her, in a sense, mentoring Omega. And I think it's good for her. I do, to see somebody else outside her dad's, right, or her brothers. And, you know, as she likes to go by an ancient treasure liberator, so to speak here, not so much a treasure hunter. She's a liberator of ancient things, you know. Again, just fancy words, just like Hondo, right? But like I said, she's got sass. I think today, they were saying today in This Week in Star Wars with Kristen Baver, they referred to her almost as a Jack Sparrow. A female version of Jack Sparrow. And yeah, I could see that. She's great. I think she adds a lot of color and flavor and spice to everything that's going on. And she gives, like I said, she's almost like another looking glass to what the outside world is for Omega, someone who spent her entire life on Camino, you know, in a lab. Yep. And now she's been, you know, for maybe a couple years with her brothers, but what has she really seen outside of that? You know, so she's learning. This is, like I said, I think it's a good thing. I'm not saying that everything about Phee is morally correct.
Yeah.
But I still think the more outside perspective Omega gets, the more she's going to grow and be able to formulate where she needs to go, what her path is. So I think this is good because she's really showing an interest even before Phee of this, you know, like finding treasure. She finds it interesting. And I'm not even so sure right now if it's about the riches, if it's more about lore for her. She's curious.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing. I love Phee. I think she's a great addition. And like I said, she adds a lot more for, you know, a lot more viewpoint for our young adolescent growing into her adulthood.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. She's the perfect foil for for Omega.
Yep.
Because you see her telling these stories of adventure and mystery and treasure, and you see Omega just hanging on every word. Her stories that are building her character are also, you're looking at Omega and you're seeing a grown Omega in this season. You can tell she's matured, she's grown up a little bit since season 1, but you're still seeing that childlike innocence, that childlike wonder, that childlike amazement, and just the ability to dream. And it's just so cool to see that encapsulated in Omega in this episode, because she's the one that's just like chomping at the bit to go on this adventure. And we even see that come into contrast with Hunter. Hunter's very skeptical about everything about this mission. He's skeptical at the beginning. Do we really need to go on treasure hunt? We don't need a treasure hunt. And then in the cave, when they're going through, he's like, we almost died 3 times already.
Right. It was, his parental instincts are in overload. He wants to keep her safe. And I understand that. But at the same time, the only way she is going to grow is if she fumbles and makes mistakes. And, this is, again, what I love about Star Wars, specifically about animation. We get it a little bit in live action with The Mandalorian, but we get to follow these kids during such like times that we can't fathom, because these kids are growing up as a war is going on.
Yeah.
So what kind of life is that anyway for a kid? So again, allowing her that time with Phee is letting her live a little, letting her mind get away from what's really going on, because again, after all, she is at the end of the day still a kid.
Yeah. And
she deserves to be that. When you look back at Clone Wars, we followed the perspective of Ahsoka all the way through. And here's this kid who never had a chance to be a kid. She was a warrior from the time she was 14.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Even with little Anakin, he's taken away at 9, 10, and he's thrown into this thing, doesn't get to be a kid. So I think it's important that we're seeing that, during a wartime, there's still that moment, those brief interludes where she's allowed to just be. And I think that's good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's very good. It's good. Not only is it good for the storytelling, but when you look at the character, it's good for the character psychologically and emotionally. And this is one of the conversations I really missed my buddy David on, with him being a psychologist. I'm sure he would have probably a huge insight to add to it. But it is just one of those things that just makes this series so good. Not well, Carabas. So good is the fact that they do have so much detail in the storytelling that it's little things like this just help develop the character so much more.
I agree. But again, just I look at that dynamic and having Phee involved, again, mentoring alongside the brothers, right? So she's being watched. It's not like they just let her and Omega go off on their own. And like you said, Hunter is constantly stepping in saying, we've almost been killed like 3 times already, adding that in. And Fee's like, well, lucky that you have me around kind of thing, always with the sarcasm in the end there, which I think is just great. I love the humor. But what I think is great is that she's being monitored in a sense, Phee, while she's with Omega. And the good thing is, like I said, you get this dynamic of all these guys, right? And then you get the only 2 women. But what's nice is that Phee really actually has a lot in common with those guys. She's a survivor.
Yeah.
So she's, and that's a good thing for her to see, because now Omega sees, well, if she, she's a woman and she's doing this and she's surviving, she's been on her own other than her droid. Well, why can't I do stuff too? This is, I think this is good for her to see in that regard too, that she can follow her own path. And this is where I'm all leading to, is like every experience that she's living now will formulate where she's going to go in the future. Because I don't believe, I know people don't like to speculate, but I don't believe when this series is over, that's the last of what we're going to see of her. I just don't believe that. You don't create someone this awesome and leave her in animation. You expand her, kind of like Ahsoka, right? Now we got her in live action. So I just, I'm going with that because there's something really special about her, and we just don't know all of it yet.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We definitely don't know it all, and I agree with you. I think when it's time for this series to end, which they haven't given us any sort of hint that it's going to be this season. I got a feeling we'll see some more, but when it ends, I definitely don't think we're done with Omega. I think she's going to be playing a pivotal role in something here in the future because it's a character that a lot of people love and a lot of people enjoy seeing, and why not? She's a kid now. You could definitely bring her in later in the future for sure. You could even, it's a character you could even incorporate into the Mandalorian, really, because she could definitely have lived. She would have lived through the Imperial days. She'd have lived through the war, and Mandalorian's what, 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, she would be it's very easy to incorporate her into the future of Star Wars. And it'd be great if she showed up in season 3 with everything going on Mandalore. She's a clone, which, I could see that. I don't know if I expect it, but it's definitely, it could happen. You never know. With Filoni, you never know.
No, that's just it. You never know what he's thinking. Hence, trust trees. He's got a lot of them.
Yes. Oh, he does. There is nobody in that works for Lucasfilm and Star Wars that has more trust credits than Dave Filoni.
Oh yes. No,
he could sit back, service a bowl of steaming hot poodoo, and we would still love him for it.
Well,
he's got that much credit.
Yeah, and that's, to be honest with you, I think that's what I love about his work is that he does his best to keep it locked in a vault. Yeah, you don't know what's coming. You don't see it coming. And then it's like, wow, how did we not know anything about this? When you think back of the reveal of Grogu, right? Yep. It's like, wow, how did he pull that out of his hat? Yep. And he just likes to keep things quiet. And I think that's a wonderful quality to have, because then again, you don't know what you're going to get. And then you're surprised when it happens. So yeah. I give him a lot of credit because in today's world, I'm surprised a lot more hasn't been spoiled on him. So I give him a lot of credit.
I know. I'm sitting here thinking, I can only think of one thing that's been spoiled for him. Yeah. In everything, and that was kind of my fault. So.
Well, we know who to blame now.
And you really can't blame me. It was Toys R Us that screwed that up. They screwed the pooch on that one. But yeah, he is so good at keeping everything so tight to the vest. It's just, it makes it so much more enjoyable when you're watching his work. Absolutely. And you could tell, I mean, he's the executive producer on this show. I don't think he's doing much of the everyday stuff like Jen and Brad are, but you can tell they have learned from him at keeping everything so tight and close to the vest.
Yes, absolutely. Because I sat on that roundtable event with them, and even when they were talking about certain things, they were very vague. And I was grateful because you don't really know where it's going. I mean, you have an idea of what they're doing because they did tell us, but it wasn't like they gave direct reveals at all. And I think that's a credit to who they're working under.
Yeah. Oh, so, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it all trickles down from, and all of this trickles down from Dave sitting at the feet of George Lucas. He learned from the master, and the apprentice. He learned from the master. Then he became the master, and he's teaching his people now, and eventually they're going to become the masters. And it's just going to be this awesome trickle down effect, which eventually just goes back to the creator.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Yep.
Oh, so much awesome stuff here. Let's keep talking about this treasure hunt here, and talk about really. Let's talk about this ultimate battle droid thing. I don't even know what to call it, because they really didn't call it anything. They just called it whatever we're. I think Tech referred to it as whatever we're in. It's emanating a lot of power. So whatever let's talk about the whatever we're in. I've been calling it the ultimate battle droid because, essentially is what it is. First, I got to know, what did you think of when you first saw the beast or the creature, the droid, whatever it is?
Like a Star Wars version of a Trojan horse. That's what I got from it. And I thought it was really, really interesting to see, because again, this brings me back to Disney Atlantis, because it's this forgotten ancient city, and when they ignite it, when they bring it back to life, so to speak, and it doesn't go as well as you think, and things kind of just go wrong. And that's what happened. You're going to hunt down this ancients because Phee says where they are. And I forget the actual name of the place, but believe it or not, she does say they're the ancient ones. And I don't remember which one of the Bad Batch say, I think it was Tech who says, "You mean the Jedi?" And she goes, "No, older than that."
Yeah. And
I'm not mistaken, but I mean, if I am, I think it was Jordan Mason pointed it out, that it's a Zepho, or connected to the Zepho, which is from Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
That's what and basically they're an ancient civilization that had this superior technology that destroyed itself. So there you go. So it is something that we've seen, but it's in the video game. So to me, it just blew my mind. Like I said, I was thinking Star Wars meets the Trojan horse, because that's what it really looked like to me. Like it was built for something like that, to basically sneak in somewhere and destroy whatever their enemy was at the time. But obviously it wasn't meant to be, operated by Phee and the Bad Batch at all. Yeah. That went really wrong in all ways. But I did think, like I said, I thought it was just stunningly done. And it was something we have not seen in Star Wars. So that was cool. So, and it reminded me of even Indiana Jones again, when he thinks he finds something, like when he takes the, the glowy thing off the mantle in the cave, then it unlocks everything and the big rock comes rolling at him. It's like, uh-oh. You know what I mean? So yeah, they basically set off a booby trap in this, right? Yep. So it was just definitely very exciting. It was beautiful to see, even the explosions, all of it. Mm-hmm. It's wreaking havoc, but yet it was just so beautiful to watch. I know that sounds really terrible, but it really was stunning to watch. It was, like, as you said earlier on, it was very cinematic for a 23-minute animated show. Yeah.
It absolutely.
Like I said, I was just thrilled to see something so different in Star Wars. And that's, I think, what I love, is that they take these themes, from Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider, obviously. Yep. That's obvious in there too. And they recreate it and make it brand new. And I think that's genius.
Oh, absolutely it is. And it's what makes these shows so enjoyable, is the way they can just incorporate other properties in there, and just as a subtle nod, and make you think, oh man, I need to go back and watch Indiana Jones. Right. But with this droid emerged from the ground and just kind of crawled out, and then they started shooting its lasers everywhere. I'm sitting there looking at it, I'm like, looking around the ground, I'm going, is Tom Cruise running around down there somewhere? There you go. I think of War of the Worlds, There.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Because that's how they
now I see it.
From underground, they start shooting everything and destroying it. I'm like, This kind of gives me a War of the Worlds feel.
Wow.
And it was, I thought it was really cool. Just another subtle nod, whether it was intentional or not, to something else.
Yeah.
To a classic too. I mean, War of the Worlds is a classic novel. So
Yeah, like I said, I forgot about that. They totally, wow.
Mhm.
Makes you want to go back and revisit all these things. It's like, holy cow. Yeah, no, and I just want to put it out there. I'm so glad that they destroyed it and put a stop to it, because that's another thing you just don't want Palpatine to get his hands on, right?
Oh, absolutely. But
That would be bad.
but then I have to sit there and think, if there's only, how could there only one of those things there?
Yeah, I highly doubt there's only
I
one of those
seriously
things.
doubt there's only one there.
Yeah.
There's probably others, because that was a very mountainous region, and if every mountain had one hidden, I'd bring the Death Star and blow it up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. And getting on the whole, certain themes from other, being borrowed from other shows and other franchises. I love the compass. Can we talk about the compass?
Yes, let's talk about the compass.
I love the compass and the coordinates, and how excited she gets when she goes, it has coordinates. Just so
Yeah.
excited. And it was it ended up being very similar, again, Indiana Jones,
Yep.
to the headpiece of the staff of
Yep.
Ra
Yep.
from Raiders of the Lost Ark, because it actually just basically points you in the direction to where you need to be to
Yep.
find something, right? So I just thought that was so genius and so cool, and it only made me that much more excited for Ahsoka's staff.
Oh, I know, right?
I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, because we get Luke's compass, right?
Yep.
So that we have in the video game, and that we get to see in The Last Jedi.
Yep.
So yeah, and now we get to see this one, and I just think there's got to be so much more. This is all leading into something else. It's just,
absolutely.
that was fantastic.
Oh yeah, it really was. The compass was, I was sitting there and I was trying to place, because I knew we had compasses in The Last Jedi, which was from Fallen Order, or yeah.
Was it Fallen? Yeah, I think no. Wait a minute.
No, it was
Battlefront.
Battlefront. Yeah,
That's it.
Iden Versa. Yeah,
Yep.
Battlefront.
There it is. Yeah.
And so I knew the connection there with that compass, and I was looking at it, and the first thing I thought of too, when you, as you mentioned, it was the headpiece of the staff of Ra, and I'm like, dude, this is so indie here.
It's so great.
This is awesome. I'm sitting there thinking, Dan Z is probably flipping his lid right now.
Oh, this had to be like one of his favorite episodes, like thus far. It has to be.
Oh, has to be.
Hands down.
Hands down, easily. He's the biggest indie fan I know, next to oh my gosh, I just blanked his name. Australian, does indie casts.
Is it Adam? Adam?
Oh,
I'm thinking Adam.
Gosh, that's gonna bug me now.
Oh yeah, and I'm sorry if you're
you're
listening
fine.
and we totally just forgot who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so bad.
Oh, I feel so bad. IndieCast. I'm looking it up right now.
Play the Jeopardy music.
Ed Dollister.
There it
Ed
is.
Dollister. I love that show too. I listen to it all the time. Especially their John Williams tributes. They do regular John Williams musical tributes. I just
so good.
I love John Williams. Yeah. Anywho, yes, I'm sure they were flipping their lid with this episode, but it was because there was just so much in there, just nodding to Indy, and I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Kevin Kiner and his musical scores. Week after week after week, he hits it out of the park. He did it. He's doing it for Bad Batch. He did it for Rebels. He did it for Clone Wars. There wasn't an episode that did not have just a hopping score to it. He did it for Resistance too.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And he just did so much. You could mute all the dialogue and just play the music, and you'd still be on the edge of your seat.
And that's just it. Specifically in this episode, you can't help it because, again, it's that same undertones that you would get in Indiana Jones, where you're just constantly at the edge of your seat because you know something's right around the corner, you know? And that's what this music does. It's an adventure-esque theme that they had going throughout it. And it just keeps you on your heels right behind them. And he just couldn't have anything else better to fit fit this entire episode. He knocked it out of the park.
Oh, absolutely. He did. I will say, of all so far this season, this is my favorite soundtrack he's done. It might be one of my favorites for the whole series so far, because it's got energy, it's got darkness, it's got mystery, it's got what's that right around you? Don't look behind you.
Yep, absolutely.
You get the creepies. You don't want to turn out the lights when you're playing it. It's great. So Kevin Kiner, phenomenal. I mean, I've told David this before, when it comes to musical composers, John Williams to me is the gold standard. There's nobody better than John Williams.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I put Kiner right up there, right below him, because Kiner does this week in and week out and just constantly kills it.
And that's just it. I mean, you still get the Star Wars vibe throughout. It doesn't feel any different from the actual films, right? It all plays out the same. You get that same feel in the music. And like you said, you don't even need the dialogue. You just need the imagery along with that music, and you're in Star Wars. Absolutely.
It certainly is. And that's what, for so long, the music has just been hand in hand with the movies. And you can't talk Star Wars without talking about its music. And Kevin Kiner has done a phenomenal job carrying the mantle and keeping that true to fact. You can't talk about these animated shows without talking about the music. Ludwig, I just blanked on his name, does Mandalorian music. He's doing the same thing.
Yes.
You can't talk Mandalorian without talking about his soundtrack, which is phenomenal. It's so different than Kiner's music. It's so different than Williams, but it is phenomenal and fits the show so well that you can't even talk about the series without talking about his music. And that's one thing I've always loved about Star Wars.
Oh, absolutely. And that's just it. Each show has its own sound to it, even though it's still Star Wars. When you talk about Ludwig, he's got Star Wars, but mixed with some sort of a Western feel to it. And you can't, you couldn't have that show without that music. It goes so well. And like I said, even with this episode specifically with Kevin Kiner, I mean, it just fit that what they were doing at that time and at that place. It just, like, nothing else would have fit that. It's phenomenal how they work that kind of magic, because I'll never understand it because I have no music talent whatsoever in me. So it's just, I've always said it's just phenomenal. But I say that about anything that we get here in Star Wars. It's a wonder to me how anything makes it to the screen, because not everything does. So many things are written down or in production, but never make it to being published, right? And out there.
Exactly.
So it's just a miracle in itself that we even have what we have. And I'm enjoying the ride, that's for sure, because we have so much Star Wars.
Oh, we certainly do. It's a wonderful time to be a Star Wars fan.
Absolutely.
There is no better time to be a Star Wars fan. So, all right. Well, any other topics about Entombed that you want to hit on before we start to wrapping things up?
Actually, yeah. Fee's droid.
Fee's droid Mal.
Yes, I'm all about the droids lately. I love Gonki, all of them. But I love the fact that, like Lando, she actually stores or saves the memory just in case something happens to Mel.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, so you get that going on. It blows my mind, because I love that, because it goes to show you that her companion's not just it's an actual someone that the droid means something to her. It's not just a droid.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and I love that because these droids are like our pets. They just don't have any hair, but they mean the world to you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful to see that. Like I said, I mean, as much as Phee might not be 100%, morally correct all the time, but she has a great heart.
Yep.
Because the fact that she stores Mel's memory, I think that's great. And I love the sounds to Mel. Very similar to me as in Chopper, the whole the whole grumpiness about it. I love that. And the wobbling constantly to get away from those laser beams. I was like, it's only a matter of time, Mel. Come on, pick up the pace, But yeah, I just thought that was great. I really did.
I did too. Mel was a great droid. The unique droid is kind of not really it kind of resembled a gonk droid, but rounded. But it was such a unique droid. It had such, and one thing about Star Wars, these droids have such awesome personality,
right?
And you don't get that in any other franchise out there where their robots and androids have these in-depth personalities like this, but these just have their characters and depth is just so rich. You could hear it in their beeps and boops and groans, and it's just they become part of the family.
Yes, absolutely. And they're so loyal.
Yeah.
Like I just, and it's almost like they're alive to, in their own way, and I just, like I said, I mean, I think that's one thing after what George created with R2 and 3PO. I think every other series or live action that has happened after that, everyone else that directed or created another droid, they followed suit and gave their droid, such an relatable personality.
Yep.
Where you invest in it automatically, and they don't become an it anymore. They're a somebody. Yep. They're, and I think that in itself is just a remarkable thing. I mean, even K2, I mean, I miss K2. I love that droid, an Imperial droid, but I still love him. All of them, they have such phenomenal personalities. And like I said, I'm looking forward to see where they go in other things. I mean, we got Skeleton Crew coming up. There's going to be droid in there.
Yep.
There has to be.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mel, I love Mel. I'm looking forward to seeing how Phee brings back Mel.
I know. And I'm curious to see if they're going to use this as a ploy where we get a different design droid now for Mel. What kind of droids are going to be in next?
Right.
Is the memory, are we going to see an R2 unit? Are we going to see a different type of gonk droid? Are we going to see a B1 battle droid walk in?
Oh, that would be fun.
Would be fun. Roger. I mean, it could be a different droid each time she appears. Oh yeah, Mel got destroyed, so I put her memory in something else.
Right. Yeah, I think that would be great. I think that they should do that. That'd be fun. You never know what you're going to get.
Oh, absolutely. I think it would be a blast. I think it would be a great stick for the series, for the character too. How much did she spend this time on a replacement droid?
Right. Exactly. Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Perfect. Well, let's wrap everything up and go right into our final thoughts about the episode. I loved it. Like we said earlier, and you could tell from our discussion, I really loved the episode. It was fun. It was energetic. It was Indiana Jones meets Star Wars. It was perfect. It was just a lot of fun. I found it extremely enjoyable. It hit on all cylinders. I mean, the music, the animation, D. Bradley Baker, everybody was. It was just all together, and I like we said earlier, I do expect to see the Hunter cosplay with the fedora and the whip. I'll be highly disappointed if I don't see it at Celebration. I won't be at Celebration because it's in Europe and I can't make that trip. But if I don't see pictures of somebody at Celebration Europe dressed up like Hunter with a fedora and a whip, I'm going to be disappointed.
I would be too. I think that would be just so much fun. Like, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think it would be awesome. So somebody do that. Send us the pictures when you do. Yeah. And yeah, let's leave it at that. Becca, what were your final thoughts on Entombed?
Honestly, I thought it was just a very fun episode, and I think Star Wars should do more of that, where they can just take things and borrow things from other shows, other franchises, and rehash it, make it Star Wars. I think it works. I like the adventure that has nothing to do with the Empire. It's their own adventure. Makes it a little more personal. And like I said, I think it will connect to other things. We just gotta finish up the season and see where everything lands. But yeah, I mean, you want me to rate it like now? Like,
yeah. Well, that's what we were going to go into next is our grades. Everybody knows we grade the episodes, less like if you're in school and you get an A, B, C, D, and or F. So how would you grade the episode, Becca?
Thus far, because it's the fifth one in, I'm gonna go with A minus. There you go.
Very good. Very good. No, I agree with you. I that's exactly what I gave it, was an A minus as well. Cause it's, when we grade these things, we always look back, what have we rated as an A plus in the past? And we always go back to Twilight of the Apprentice from Rebels.
Yes.
That is the ultimate A plus thing. You cannot you can't get more perfect than that. And how does it stack up against Twilight of the Apprentice? Is it just as good? Is it not? So that's our measuring stick. And this was great. Not quite there. A minus definitely for me as well. So perfect. Now, of course, we want to hear from everybody listening. Let us know what you think of I almost said Twilight of the Apprentice. We want to know what you like to get Twilight of the Apprentice too, but let us know what you think about Entombed, because that's what we're talking about tonight. Let us know what you think about Entombed. You can, of course, hit us up on any of our social medias, Facebook and Twitter at SW Reactions Pod, Instagram and Pinterest, and Tumblr at SW Reactions, or email us swreactions@gmail.com, and let us know what you think and how you would grade the episode. Becca, we want to close everything out here, but first we want to give you the opportunity. Tell us about Kanata's Castle and about Tarkin's Top Shelf, and tell us about each show and where they can find them.
Well, Kanata's Castle has been on hiatus, only because my co-host, Red 5 Mom, is going through some life changes. So once she's settled, we'll get back and started. But you could still find that everywhere. It's not shut down. And that's just basically Star Wars for everyone. It's rated E for everyone. It doesn't matter where you are on your Star Wars journey. We're there, and we'll talk about all of it. So you can find that at Castle Kanata on Twitter, and then Kanata's Castle on Facebook and on Instagram. So check us out there. Tarkin's Top Shelf is a Star Wars book podcast. So if you're into all the books, and that's everything, High Republic, the Thrawn, novelizations, where we are now in the timeline of canon, anything coming up, if you like author interviews, that is a show for you then. You could check that out. We're at Tarkin's Top Shelf all across the board on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can check it out there. If you want to email us, it's ttspodfeedback@gmail.com. And if you want to just say hi to me, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at YouAreAngelB, and then on Facebook at Becca Benjamin.
Very good. Very good. And you'll be able to find links to all of that in our show notes. So check them out there on our Tumblr page. When the episode is live, we'll let you know. But definitely check those out. Give them some love, because they're fantastic shows. And Becca does such a great job on both shows. And I knew Red 5 Mom was on Kanata. I'm drawing.
Devin Myers, Red 5 Mom.
That's right. Yeah.
She's always standing by.
Exactly. But and Tarkin's Top Shelf, your co-host is
Mark Suter.
Yeah, that's right, Mark Suter. I'm like, I know this. I know that. I can see his face. I'm like, I can see his face, but I can't place his name. So yes, Mark, you and Mark do such a great job on that show. So I love it. So,
Thanks.
so definitely everybody check it out and give them some love, show them some love, and let them know how much you appreciate them because they're awesome. So, well, Becca, this brings us to the end of the show, and every week, everybody knows we end the show the same way, and that is with our Star Wars dad joke of the week.
Okay, I'm ready.
And so since David's out, you are blessed with getting to hear probably another round of cheesy jokes. So you ready? You got some Kleenex to wipe away the tears from either crying or laughing too much?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. This week, the joke is, what do you need to reroute droids?
To reroute droids. Oh, wow. Bamboo Frick? Sorry.
Good answer. Wrong, but good answer. I like that. Good job. Oh, you need R2 detour.
Oh no, that's cute.
R2 detour. That is your answer.
You need to post that and tag Kelly Knox, please. She'll love that. That's right up her alley. Seriously. Oh, you do need to post that. Yes.
Oh, Kelly Knox. We will do that. I will do that once the show goes live.
Awesome.
So perfect. Becca, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a blast. I have had so much fun talking to you again. It has been too long, but now that we've done this, we're going to have to make sure we don't make it so long next time.
Oh, yes, please. We'll have to have you on Tarkin and talk some books with you. We'd love to have you.
Oh, it would be a blast. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Just let me know when and where, and I'll be there. So
sounds great. Oh, thank you so much for having me on. This has been fun. I've been just really wanting to talk Bad Batch. So thank you, because it only came out yesterday. So
I know.
So it's great. It's great.
You're welcome. It's been a blast. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. Y'all are awesome listeners. We love y'all. Y'all are the best. We love you. We're praying for you. Be nice to somebody this week. Change somebody's day with a smile. You'll never know how good that makes you feel. Remember, this is your place for I just blanked on our tagline. Wow. Holy snot. All right. Carabast. This is what we call a Carabast moment, folks. We do this, usually a couple times an episode, but I actually was doing good today. So there we go. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Remember, this is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
If you'd like to share your thoughts, you can email us at show@starwarsreactions.com for our show notes and the latest news from the Star Wars universe. Visit our website at www.starwarsreactions.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWReactionsPod or on Facebook at Star Wars Reactions. If you enjoy our show, please leave a review on iTunes. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.